Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
Mario Götze! Mario Götze!
Tonight, whether you call it football, or soccer, a German American and a German in America dare to call it Fußball. German football from an American point of view. Let's add some buns to that hamburger and join them for the Schnitzel Boys Deutschland Hour.
Yippee-yay!
Yay! Okay.
Deutschland.
Deutschland Hour.
Deutschland Hour.
We were not confident that we were on, but we're on. Here we are. We're live.
We are. That's on me.
Monday night. I'm all decked out here in my NYCFC gear because I have a lot to say about
Monday
that.
night?
What?
Did you say Monday night in
it's
error?
Not Monday. It's not Monday. It's Tuesday. Because
last Monday night was President's Day. President's Day.
And we don't podcast on President's Day. That's a Schnitzel Boys rule. I'm sorry if we did not announce it ahead of time. We just have a total blackout day for us, President's Day. We do not.
Actually, more accurately, we're pulling your leg. More accurately, it's a whiteout day. So
Right.
so tonight's Tuesday night, a special Schnitzel night. We gave it a day, which is good because we could watch the Champions League games. And
Bayern.
But you were snowed in last night, right?
I was snowed in. I was in Vermont, and I there was a lot of snow in Vermont, a lot of snow, and I had a hard time getting out of there. I got stuck twice with my car in a snowbank.
And you have an all-wheel. You have a four-wheel drive.
I have a four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I have a four-wheel drive, and eventually, I made my way out of there. But it just required a lot of shoveling because there was a lot of snow, and then there was a lot of wind, especially on Monday. It was very windy, and that's when you can plow as much as you like. You can send the plow guy in your driveway and up the road if there's lots of mounds of snow around and there's a lot of wind. Can't keep up. It blows in, and I thought I could get through it, and I could not. Well, eventually I did, but I didn't get home until like 2 a.m. So if I pass out at any point during this broadcast, it's not because you're boring, Stefan. It's because I'm under arrested. But I don't think I will pass out because there's a lot to talk about.
No, 100%. So where do we begin? Should we start maybe with recency bias and work our way back? Or do you want to start at the beginning?
Start with today, yeah. Do you know that expression, mit einem blauen Auge davongekommen?
No.
Getting away. Getting out of it with a black eye, like you say this in German.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, well, I got out of it with a black eye, meaning like it could have gone a lot worse, but in the end I just it wasn't too bad. I just got a black eye, and that was it. And I think
you only say German expressions that have the color blue in them, right? Because of your NYCFC.
Well, it's funny because in a black eye in English is called a blue eye in German.
Right. And that's more accurate, by the way. It's not
it's more blue than black. I guess depending.
But the reality is bruise is black and blue. So we use both colors.
Right. So it's like either way. I think it's a little bit different on where you get hit exactly. But anyway,
depending on how hard you hit.
This is that expression I was thinking about watching the Bayern game today, because that's what happened to them. They came away with a bit of a black eye, but otherwise unharmed. And it could have been really dicey because Celtic were feeling this.
Yeah, this tie was a great tie and very surprising. I thought, like everybody else, the conventional wisdom is Bayern's going to win like 4-0. And those two American center backs and that Canadian left back, Alistair Johnson and Dawson Trusty and CCV, ostensibly an MLS back line, is up against Bayern München, up against the Harry Kanes and the Leroy Sané's in the world. So, we're always before that did not happen in either leg. In Glasgow at Celtic Park, I believe. I forget exactly what the stadium's called. It was a tight 2-1 game. Celtic could have equalized there at the end. They had a great opportunity there at the end.
Yeah.
And it's another way. Last week, we tried to showcase the Americans and the Germans. And something we forgot about was Nicholas Kuhn, the Celtic German, who
Yes.
has showcased before. I think he scored a couple goals against Dortmund earlier in the season, right? Like when it comes to German teams, Nicholas Kuhn has a score to settle
Has a
and
chip on his shoulder.
chip on his shoulder. And against Bayern München, he just also shined very brightly. The 25-year-old, he got that goal there right at towards the end of the game today. But anyway, it was a 2-1 game last week, almost 2-2. And you're like, all right, 2-1 road win. That's still fine. Then you go home. Yeah. But today, München, there was no destruction today either. It was a very, very tight game. Bayern München had the ball, of course, most of the time. They had most of the chances. But Kasper Schmeichel put on an Oli Kahn-like performance.
Mm-hmm.
He was superhuman today. He was great. And they only penetrate him at the end off a rebound. And there was some North American, Canadian on American crime there at the end as Cameron Carter-Vickers, the ball bounced right to him as a center back. Now, as a center back, you're supposed to clear the ball, right? That's your job. So he looked at it. He's like, hey, a ball. What should I do with it? And Alphonso Davies was right behind him. He's like, I'll tell you what to do with it. Bing. And then he bounced it right in the goal. And then Fonz, snapped that jukebox. Happy Days reference, the Fonz, Alphonso Davies. He snapped that jukebox. He snapped that ball right in the goal to get their 1-1. And then, so CCV doesn't look good on that play. I don't. Would you?
Well,
agree?
I don't think he. I think he probably didn't know he was there. Yeah. I mean,
shouldn't his awareness be better than maybe? I don't know. Am I being unfair?
I mean, happened very quickly. I think. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be thinking about it for sure. I don't think he will think that he should have done better, maybe, but it's very quick, and Alphonso Davies kind of crashes him and the ball. It's sort of hard to defend. I guess he's a little bit quicker, but I mean, I thought what I said to my friend Kier is that he was a Celtic fan. I said, "Your Canadian lost track of their Canadian," because I think that's Alphonso Davies is AJ's guy, right? He's the right back. He's supposed to cover him, and he just kind of was watching. He was just watching it all from like a couple steps away. Now, Kier,
Fonz is a left back, isn't he? Or am I getting that wrong? I think Fonz is a left back.
Yeah, and Alistair Johnson's a right.
AJ's also a left back. Oh, is he right back?
No, he's a right. He's on the right. So they were up against each other, I think.
So Canadian v. Canadian.
At least in that situation, yeah. And but I mean, Kier pointed out, of course, that Johnson had a very good game otherwise, so it's tough to be too upset. I mean, yeah, stuff happens. I think definitely a heartbreaker for Celtic, especially that late. And Bayern got away with a black eye.
Yeah, and how did your friend Kier? So, real quick, the two lowest rated players on Celtic. Do you know who they were?
CCV.
They both come from. Yeah, I was going to say, clue. They both come from the same country, and the country happens to be the home of the brave and land of the free.
Oh.
And Austin Trusty, Austin Trusty didn't like. I can't think of a specific moment where I was maybe disappointed in him, but definitely CCV had one, especially that moment there at the end. Where I'm like, oh, come on, CCV. So, and it's not like they were very low rated. It's not their fault, but they did not cover themselves in glory. However, they had a very difficult task over 2 legs, and with all intents and purposes, they did well.
Did very well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did Kier? I want to, because Kier is a lifelong Celtic fan. How did he feel about the tie? Like, what did he talk?
I think he was, It's funny because we were talking about it ahead of time about how I guess Celtic's status in the world has a little bit declined. They were at times winning the competition, or they were a big team in Europe, and now I think the way he was describing it, he was contrasting it as it used to be that they were competitive. And they were, and you could be sad, when they lost because they were in it. And lately, he felt like the last few years he was always worried about being embarrassed rather than, because they had some bad losses, even Dortmund earlier this year, and
right.
And so I think I think he, obviously he was upset, but I think he he probably in a couple days he'll feel good about it because this was one to be sad about, not to be embarrassed about by any means.
Yeah, I like that because again, all the predictors were like, "This is going to be a 7-0," especially with Bayern. They're known to do that
Yeah.
in the Champions League.
Mhm.
However, looking more back at Bayern again, this is another. How do I say this? Like Vincent Kompany's. This is his first season with the club. People have their eyes. It's relatively quiet. Bayern is doing well. They're leading the league, but considerably. I
A
believe by
lot, yeah.
7 points, I believe, or something like that. And they are, they just squeak through, but they are now in the round 16, the champ, where they're supposed to be. They're out of the cup, though, I believe, right? They were eliminated from the cup.
Yeah.
But pretty much, although they're doing well, whenever it was time for crunch time, whenever there was like a big game, one that mattered, and including the one over the weekend, which
very lackluster. Yeah.
Vincent Kompany has not shown up. Like he has not proven that when it comes down to the big games, he's going to shine through. So for Bayern München, their next opponents can be either Atletico Madrid or Bayer Leverkusen. Both very tough nuts to crack. Both very similar. They're very scrappy teams. With Diego Alonso's Atletico versus Xabi Alonso's. Yeah, they're both Alonso. Right?
Diego Simeone.
Diego Simeone.
Mhm.
Right, sorry, Diego Simeone. They're both very scrappy, hardworking teams, tough nuts to crack. And Bayern. We'll see. It's now Vincent Kompany's game to show that he can be a big game manager. Because to be a manager of a big club, that's what you have to have. You have to have big game management skills and abilities and some sort of a track record there.
Mm-hmm.
And every opportunity he's had so far, it's only been the first season. It's only 2/3 the way through the season or something like that, a little less maybe. However, he has not proven once that he's a big game winner yet.
Well, I think my counterpoint to that would be that they're definitely doing better than they were last season. I mean, in the league and with more somewhat the same. I mean, not without like a lot of huge. I guess Michael Olise. Yeah, I mean. But it's true. They're not invincible by any means. They get the results. They lead the league, but they don't inspire a ton of confidence. I do agree with you. And they looked really lackluster against Leverkusen on Saturday. They had 0 shots on goal or 0 shots period in the first half, which I think I read somewhere has not happened in a Bayern game since they kept track of this, that they had a half without any shots at all. And
that's pretty telling.
And in the end, they had like 2, I think, and it was like they were both extremely. And I mean, but then again, the flip side is their Bayern Dusel. The luck of the Bayern seems to be back intact because that game they should have lost. Leverkusen was dominating start to finish. And they got a 0-0 tie out of it, which is really perfectly fine for them as a result. And again. So that game also they got out of it with a black eye, but not even perhaps a black eye, because I think if you had asked them before the game, since they were, Leverkusen was off and Bayern had to go to Scotland in midweek and then go on the road to Leverkusen. I think if you had asked them before, will you be happy with a tie? They would have been like, yeah, we'll take it. And I think that's what they got. And so, yeah, they're sort of plugging along, but it's not yet. Yeah, I mean, do you look at them and say, oh, they're a contender to win it all, win the Champions League? Not yet.
No. Just a side note on that Bayern Dusel thing, which is a common phrase for that late game heroic luck. Joshua Kimmich,
luck, yeah.
Kicker asked him if this is just another case of Bayern Dusel. He denied. He's like, this is not Bayern Dusel. So he didn't like the he didn't like the what do you call it, provocation or whatever, the invocation of
he didn't like that.
But I think it was. I mean, I don't know. What would you say that last minute goal? And question for you, Bjorn. help me out here. Away goals, that was dropped, right? There's no away
Yeah,
goal
no more away
rule.
goals. No, not
So
anymore.
even if
They
they
would have
didn't score that, even if they didn't score the equalizer, they would have gone. No, it would have gone to overtime.
no, they would have
Right?
had to go to overtime. Yeah,
Overtime. Okay, got it. So the
yeah.
goal doesn't
Away
matter.
goal rule is done in Europe.
Champions League. Under the old rules, they would have gone through on the
They
one
would have
away
gone
goal limit.
through on
Yeah.
away goals. Yeah.
Yeah. But in this
Um,
time, without that late equalizer, it would have gone to overtime.
they would
But
have
heck,
kept
I'm sure,
going. Yeah.
I'm sure Schmeichel would have loved those penalties. You know,
Oh,
Schmeichel really was man of the match today.
penalty shootout. Neuer against Schmeichel. That would have been something.
Well,
Apparently I didn't see it, but Kier mentioned it again. A touching moment of Peter Schmeichel and Kasper Schmeichel
I
together
saw it. Yeah,
on Paramount Plus. It's pretty sweet.
it's on YouTube. I always check it out on YouTube. Yeah, pretty much. Kate's like, hug your son. He's like, oh, I already hugged him, but I'll do it again. And he hugged him again and kissed him and stuff. It was nice father son moment. You know, not all sons have great relationships with their fathers. I don't want to go there, but it's nice to see. You know, like Casper Schmeichel is like a mini Peter. Can you see what Jonathan Klinsmann? How difficult? I have a lot of respect for Casper Schmeichel because his dad is a legend at Manchester United and in England and for Denmark. Like he's just a super goal legend. He's like the greatest Danish goalkeeper of all time, one of the greats. And then for him to just be like, okay, now I'll go do that too. And then he went and he won the English Premier League with Leicester City, and he had himself a great career. He's probably not regarded as well as Peter Schmeichel yet, but there's still time. Maybe he'll win a couple titles. But a lot of respect for Casper Schmeichel for falling through the foot. That must be very difficult. And I think he even looks a lot. He looks the same. He sounds
Yeah,
like
it's
a
funny.
smaller Peter Schmeichel. But he's more English because he was born and raised in Manchester.
Right.
Because of the Man United days, and then later the Man City days. Because I think Schmeichel played for Man City for a bit too. Yeah. Anywho, here's a question for you, Bjorn.
Yes.
You mentioned Bayern Munich are not favorites to win the Champions League. They don't look it, which I agree. Who does?
Yeah, that's a good point. A good point. Again, I mean, Liverpool, maybe. I don't know. They've been pretty good. Like
Probably the safest answer. Yeah, safest answer, I'd say.
although their sort of invincibility is cracking a little bit in the Premier League. They've had some couple shaky results lately, which is, I mean, to be expected. You know, they're not going to just cruise through an entire season like they have been. But yeah, I think Liverpool is one, and I mean, we'll see. You know, if like Real Madrid are gonna, if they're gonna figure it out. They are pretty strong on paper. You can never count them out until they're actually out.
No,
And
they're always in it. Yeah,
that's sort of who comes to mind right now.
yeah, me too. That's really because Barcelona, you know, and that maybe is this new format. It is pretty wide open because I do want to mention real quick because this isn't maybe we should save it for the USA hour, I guess. But like, I don't know. I want to talk about Milan just for a quick minute.
Okay.
Milan were eliminated by Feyenoord, you know, and that, you know, that has happened in the past, just like Celtic. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't because you said Celtic has won this competition in the past. Yeah, 1967, I think, 60 years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And I think they beat Feyenoord, right? I think it was Celtic Feyenoord. Like that was the final, and it was the two. But like Feyenoord was the best team.
Inter Milan.
Oh, and then I'm a little off.
67.
But back in the day, Feyenoord was one of the also just like Celtic was one
Sure,
of the
yeah.
back in the day. And when Feyenoord pulled it off, Milan was really dominant. They lost 1-0 at Feyenoord, so they're in Milan. Pulisic gets a hockey assist with Santi Jimenez. A lot of North American activity in the UEFA Champions League. There was an American to Mexican connection, and that American to Mexican connection is working. Now, I hope this joke doesn't come in bad taste, but there's no wall between those two. It's just open. It's a NAFTA relationship.
NAFTA soccer.
NAFTA soccer, pulley to Mexican, and they're doing well. So they were up 1-0. It was 1-1 going into overtime because there's no away goals. And in the 60th minute, Teo Hernandez dives and gets a second yellow and gets a red. and cards and goals change games. And when
Sure.
Teo Hernandez got that red, it was done with. Feyenoord then finally they were out of the game for the whole hour.
Hmm.
Now they're up a man. They took advantage. They got a great equalizer off a header, and they got through an aggregate 2-1. Christian Pulisic was taken off the field by Conceição. He was also rested over the weekend.
Yeah.
I know the American board's a little confused as to why Pulley keeps being
Ooh,
taken off.
he's
I mean,
got some
he
issues.
he hockey assisted the first game. They need a goal. You take Pulley off? I don't
Hmm.
know. If anything, you take. Anyway, I guess my American bias is shining. But Milan is out. They were eliminated by Feyenoord. That'll be very disappointing for Milan. And again, it goes back to what I've said before. It's cool that Americans are playing for big clubs. However, like I talked about with Vincent Company, they have to win titles with these big clubs, and they have to show up for big games with these big clubs, not just being on the big clubs. Like Poli and Musa are on Milan. That's very cool, but Milan just got eliminated in the round of 32 in the Champions League, and I think they're 7th place in the league.
Yeah, they're not doing
It's
that
like
great. And yeah,
that's not the Milan. That's not Christian Siga's Milan.
that's true.
That's
That
not
is
Oliver
true.
Bierhoff's
Yeah,
Milan.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right.
Mhm.
So, and remind me where they're on Inter. Klinsmann, Mateos, and Rudi Völler, were they on Inter or Milan?
It
They're on
was
Inter.
no, it was not Rudi Völler. It was Klinsmann, Matthäus, and Brehme, right? Andy Brehme,
What
who
didn't
were on Inter.
didn't what's his face spit on his thing because it was like a AC
Frank
Milan versus Inter
Frank
Milan
Reich.
thing?
I think that was just a Holland against Germany thing. I
Oh,
don't think.
maybe I'm
Yeah, I
mixing it
think.
up then.
Yeah, I don't think so. Rudi Völler, was he ever? I think he was. He played for another Italian team. He played for Roma, maybe.
Roma, I think. I'm looking it up right now.
Um,
Rudi Völler was on Roma. You're right, Roma. So I got that mixed up. Never mind. All right, never mind. Anyway, but
no, but
it's
that
not
was a thing.
Oliver
That was a
Bierhoff.
thing. It was
Milan.
Klinsmann, Matthäus, and Brehme on Inter, and Rijkaard and Ruud Gullit on AC Milan. So there was
And
definitely
Marco Van Basten.
and Van Basten. Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
it was
Correct.
3 and 3.
Yeah. Absolutely correct.
But anyway, but again, the Marco Van Basten, Rijkaard, AC Milan. This is not the Paulo.
It's clearly not. Yeah.
So that is part of that. So you see that you're like, I hope for improvement. Anywho, but Americans aren't looking good. Monaco is out, although Flo Balogun's injured. Benfica handled
Yeah,
Monaco. The AC Milan Americans are out. The Celtic Americans are out, which we talked about, 2 Americans, and the Canadian. But one Canadian scored a goal to get them through with Alphonso Davies. So the last Americans are Gio Reyna's Dortmund, which hopefully should finish up tomorrow. They had a very comfortable road win, and also surprisingly, we'll talk about Dortmund in a second.
Oh yeah,
then,
we're going to.
And then, like you said, and then the other big clash is American crime: PSV versus Juventus. I'm rooting for Juventus because the 3 Americans on PSV are all injured. So it's just Richie Ledesma is the last man standing versus the Weston McKennie.
NYCFC legend Richie Ledesma.
NYCFC legend Richie Ledesma's last man standing. So I think the Juve boys are going to carry the American flag into the round of 16. Everybody else, I was very glad that all the Americans got into the knockout round, but a large majority are about to get knocked out of the first round of the knockout round.
Well, that is
2 or 3 left.
That's the nature of the knockout round, right? People get knocked out.
Wise words. Wise words.
The knockout round because somebody's getting knocked out.
Very wise words. Very wise words. So let's talk Dortmund. All right. So that's Champions League.
Tune in to the Schnitzel.
That's what I thought. You get knocked out. So Dortmund, right? Our good friend here on the pod was it David Riccio who said Niko Kovac will give them that mentalität, that mentalität that they need.
Not Bjorn, yet.
How is the mentalität?
Oh my God. I watched the game on replay. I did in the end watch it, but I was out. I was in Vermont. I was out in the snow and I just checked on the game and Bochum were at 2-0 up. I was like, what is happening? I'm just not going to jinx this. I'm going to put my phone back in my pocket and I'm just going to pretend that I don't know anything about this because this happened before, right? If you remember in the reverse fixture in Dortmund, Bochum also had a got a 2-0 lead, and I at the time had no confidence at all, and subsequently was proven correct with a pretty lackluster 2-4 loss came out of that. But this time, I don't know. This time I felt a little different. I was like, "Ooh, me, I wonder what's going to happen here," because not so much because all of a sudden I feel so good about Bochum, but because Dortmund really they're dysfunctional. They're a dysfunctional group right now. There's something wrong with that team. And
Yes.
sure enough, when I checked again, the score had held up, and we had gotten a win against Dortmund, and has really changed everything. The outlook is completely different. Kiel and Heidenheim both lost, so we're no longer in last place, and we're even on points with the relegation playoff spot. So it's a complete game changer.
How quickly
Uh,
that happens.
I mean,
And that's
just
what I
wild.
said.
I mean, the reason why we're still in is because these other two teams are also very bad. So,
Well,
I
hold
mean,
on. You beat Dortmund 2-0.
yeah,
You
no,
said where the points going to come. And, in typical Bundesliga fashion, it's like they're going to come from like Bayern München or something. And they came from Borussia Dortmund. But it's so weird because, last week's broadcast, you were very suspect of Dortmund being able to handle anything in Portugal. They went out to Benfica. No,
yeah,
Sporting. They won, was it 3 or 4-0? They won
yeah.
handily.
It was comprehensive. I did not think that was going to happen. I thought they were pretty evenly matched up, but yeah, they crushed them. Mm-hmm.
They went to Portugal, won 3-0 or 4-0. I really should
I
Google
was
this ahead of time.
three
I think
zip.
it's 3-0.
No, 3-0.
3-0, I believe.
3-0.
But it was a little weird. I did watch the game. It was very boring. And then I think that
Can we
happened
do?
towards the last 20 minutes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we do a little side? I'm trying to figure something out. How do we feel about the word nil?
Oh, I'm fine with it. I guess
fine with
the
it?
criticism I've heard, it's a British term. And
Yeah,
it's one of those things in American soccer where you either like Britishisms or you don't like Britishisms.
I've
I really
resisted
could
it.
care less, to be honest.
I'm of two minds. I'm of two minds about the word nil because on the one hand, I don't enjoy the Britishisms that we're just automatically call a field a pitch and a
Right.
jersey a shirt and like we're trying to be as English as possible. I do not like that on the one hand, so I've resisted
Right.
the word nil. On the other hand, the flip side of that is it's very close to the German word null.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that makes it sort of more satisfying. So I was thinking this weekend that perhaps I would adopt a hybrid version. If I just pronounce it a little weird, I could say like null or something, and
Well,
then it would be
null and void. Null is an American word. Null and void.
so I could just say null.
You had to say null. 3
Maybe
null.
I will give that a shot.
I
All
think.
right. Okay.
Like annulled. We have to go to marriage annulled. Let me look up
Thank
exactly
you.
what null means.
Thank you for helping me with this. So Bochum beat Dortmund 2-0.
Here we go. This is the American dictionary version of null. N-U-L-L. The first thing is having no legal or binding force, invalid. So that's
Oh,
not correct.
That's
But
not
the
what we want.
second definition is having or associated with the value 0.
Ah,
So it is a very loose, like it is a very, like the secondary or tertiary definition of null does fill that void.
no. We're gonna say
But
no.
just culturally, we'd have to invent that. So we're starting something new. 3-0.
All right. 3-0. 3-0 in
I know.
3-0. 3-0. They won in and you were saying this was a complete surprise. We did not think this was gonna happen. Continue.
So it's one of those things where you fly to Lisboa, right? Sporting in Lisbon.
Right.
And you fly to Sporting and you
Beautiful.
beat them 3-0, and then you go home, I
3-0.
guess, or it's
3-0.
Bochum, which is 3-0. You do 3-0, and you go to Bochum, which is down the street. They probably didn't even have to. Maybe they got on the bus, but it was a 20-minute drive. It was no big deal.
Barely. They can just all take their own cars. It's right there.
They could all take the train. They could all take the
Yeah.
bus if they want, like the public bus.
They all have
Anyway.
side pieces in Bochum, so they're hanging out. It's so close. They're hanging,
Bochum's
out
known.
there anyway, and it's a party town. Yeah.
Bochum is known for having the world's most beautiful women. Right? Is that what you say? That's what Anyway, they go to Bochum. They lose 2-0. 2-0. 2-0. 2-0.
They did. And
It's like
pretty lackluster too. Not
right.
like you ever felt. I mean, obviously I was watching it on replay, so I knew the score, but it never seemed in danger.
Well, the first goal, I did see the goal moment. It happened within just 5 minutes, I believe, maybe even less. For the
Yeah.
second goal was a very bad back. It was a very sloppy
Oh,
back pass. The guy just
Niklas
took advantage of
Süle
it and pounced on it.
Niklas Süle has seen many coaches come and go who had very different styles in Dortmund, but they could all agree that he should not be starting.
Niklas Süle, who has been criticized by the highest powers of German football and the football press, has never answered back properly.
Not really.
You know,
I mean, there's been a couple. I don't know, was it this season or last season where there was the obligatory preseason report on how Niklas Süle is turning over a new leaf and he's in better shape and now he's really motivated and it just never happens. So he had to play right back for because there was nobody else, and so he did us a solid and had a very, very poor back pass that we pounced on, and that was the second goal. So we take it. We will accept gifts. Bochum will accept gifts. If we are if we get this on the 28th in 10 days, we're going to find out what the appeal looks like for that game against Union Berlin. And if we get 2 more points out of that, then we're going to be in 16th place. How about that?
Well,
how about them apples?
I'm telling you, you got to believe, But good on you. Bochum won the Kleines Revier Derby.
Kleines Revier Derby, yeah.
That's right.
The big one being
this year.
The big one is Schalke, and Schalke are not even in the Bundesliga, but they're still bigger than Bochum in the hearts and minds of the Ruhrgebiet.
Here's an over/under for you. When will we see the next große Revier Derby again?
Oh,
how about this over/under? Within 3 years or over 3 years?
3 years, meaning like 3 more seasons after this one, or within the next
Something
3 seasons after this one?
Because they could meet in the DFB Cup right now. I think it's the
only
way
right.
Other than a friendly.
Oh, I guess.
When's the next time they're going to meet? Just in general, do you think?
Within the next 3 seasons, you said, yeah, I think that's probably what I would have said. Hard to take the under on that. I'm going to say the over. I'm going to take the over.
I agree, because the path to Schalke going back to the Bundesliga is very unclear.
Yeah.
And a few big clubs have that. The Hertha BSC just got a new coach this week. That's their talk as well.
And it's the real Super League, Bundesliga 2. So it's tough. It's tough down there. There's no guarantees.
Yeah, no guarantees. But so we got Dortmund, we got Bochum with their win. That's the theme of the day. Any given Samstag. In America, it's any given Sunday. But in Germany, Fußball, for the most part, is Samstag. So any given Samstag. Samstag. Now, Colin, we have 2 quick topics left, unless you have other things to say.
No,
Colin
I just wanted to quickly say there were some weird results this weekend. Stuttgart lost at home against the surging Wolfsburg, who's Bochum's next opponent. We had, that's not that weird. I guess St. Pauli lost to Freiburg. Jimmy Sands, we got to just briefly.
Well, that's the last topic. I want to talk about both the Americans.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds good then.
But let's look at a couple of results. There were a few.
Yeah, or Werder Bremen. Werder Bremen losing at home to Hoffenheim so it was unexpected.
Freiburg also. What was Freiburg beat St. Pauli? That was not weird. Augsburg and Leipzig got a scoreless draw.
Yeah, scoreless. Yeah, Leipzig is very.
Gladbach got their win.
Very on and off. Very on and off. Leipzig.
Yeah, Hoffenheim getting a 3-1 over Werder is a big one for Hoffenheim.
Yeah.
Frankfurt beat Kiel, not surprising. Mainz beat Heidenheim, also not surprising. Leonard Maloney getting his first minutes for Mainz against his old club Heidenheim, worth noting. Noah Kai Banks, I think, getting off the bench this Augsburg-Leipzig game, getting some minutes. But in the second division, Magdeburg beat Köln quite heavily.
Yeah.
Hamburg got a draw.
Yeah,
and,
Hamburg had
pick up points.
Yeah, Hamburg had the chance to go into first, but they did not.
Regensburg held them 1-1. Nuremberg got a win over Ulm. Schalke did beat Karlsruhe, got points. Kaiserslautern, Hanover, scoreless draw. Dusseldorf 2-1 over Hertha, which sealed the fate of their coach. So Hertha got a new coach. And the article in the German press is Hertha going to be the next Hamburg. Like, is Hertha going to hang on the Bundesliga 2 for a while? And for a club of their stature in Berlin, that's always disappointing. Paderborn over Munster, Elversberg over Fürth, Braunschweig over Darmstadt. But yeah, 3-0
Yeah,
Magdeburg over Köln. That's the big one.
and the crazy Super League is the Super League insanity is still going. We have 3 points between 1 and 6. So if you want to bet on who's gonna go up from this bunch, good luck. Like there's still a lot of shaking up possible.
Of those 6, if you had to pick 2 to promote, who would you pick? Between
Who I
Köln, Hamburg,
would
Kaiserslautern.
like to go up?
Yeah, if you could pick Düsseldorf, Paderborn, Magdeburg, Kaiserslautern, Hamburg, Köln.
Well, I mean, Köln is my childhood team, so I
Right.
do have a soft spot. I think HSV also would be nice for them to come back. They already were celebrating. I mean, it'd be nice for them to go up. I also, I feel like the East German teams are always underrepresented compared to their population. So
Where even is Hansa
so
Rostock?
they're in 3, I think. Bundesliga 3. So I think I'm also rooting for Magdeburg. Kaiserslautern, obviously a big team. Yeah, I think Paderborn, I guess I would be less excited about them going up. And in Düsseldorf, I'm still laughing from the last relegation playoff. So I guess I would I kind of like the way it's now, but I mean, it's still going to change.
Well, in the Bundesliga 3, the top 2 teams are DDR clubs, Energie Cottbus and Dynamo Dresden. So we'll have a couple more Eastern. Hansa Rostock is 8th place in the 3rd division.
Yeah.
They were Bundesliga I think
for quite some time.
My 2 from Bundesliga 2, I think, is exactly the way it is now. In fact, I'd actually love Kaiserslautern to make their way up too. If the top 3 of Köln, Hamburg, and Kaiserslautern all make their way up, I'd be the history buff in me, the old Bundesliga nerd in me, would be happy to see this, especially Kaiserslautern.
Kaiserslautern will get crushed though in the relegation playoff by Bochum. Perhaps.
By Bochum, that's true. That could be true. But at least they got close because Kaiserslautern, a great historical club. They were almost relegated from the 3rd division not only a couple seasons ago, so it was sad. So I'm glad that they're back up and doing their thing. But okay.
We have Daniel Young in the chat. He's saying hello. He's looking forward to the season. I think that's
Yay.
Yeah. And he finally bought a Vincent Kompany jersey. Oh, here we have Kia Randall in the chat. Look at that live.
Thank you. I knew I was right.
And
It was Rinus Michels, right? It was the Feyenoord coach, right? Isn't that the famous?
And so they lost. They beat Celtic in the final, 1970. You said, okay, they beat Inter Milan. Celtic won against Inter Milan, lost to Feyenoord 3 years later. All right, very nice.
I got a couple things futzing around in here.
You got some. You got some stuff in there.
Yeah, if I've watched some docs and they stay in here. Here we go. No. You know who the coach of Feyenoord was at the time? Ernst Happel.
Ernst Happel. Oh,
the Austrian super coach.
He was in Hamburg for a while. Rinus Michels was the Köln coach for some years.
Oh, was he? Mm-hmm. I know Rinus Michels was the Ajax coach, I think, in the 70s.
Okay.
And then the great Jock Stein, the Celtic coach at the time. And then here we go. Here's a quiz for you, Bjorn. In the 1970, this shows you how much football has changed. In the 1970 Europa, whatever this is called, the Cup Winners' Cup, the European Cup Final, which was the old version of the Champions League.
Right.
There was only one foreigner. Oh, actually, there were 2 foreigners on the field. Everyone who played for Celtic was Scottish. Everybody but 2 who played for Feyenoord were Dutch. What countries do you think the foreigners were from?
Oh, in 1970. Well, English and Belgian.
0 for 2. 0 for 2. But close. That would be my Belgium's definitely a guess because if you're back in the day when you were foreign, you were a neighbor. It's not like you were
Yeah,
Belgium's own friend.
people did not
Yeah.
come from far. Yeah, in those.
No, but the two foreigners, it's a little bit of a trick question because it's kind of random. One was a clue. There was one Austrian player, Franz Hasel, who I guess was brought in
Ernst
from Ernst Happel.
Happel's cousin.
Yeah, his cousin or whatever, or his nephew, Nepo hire.
Dating his daughter.
And then the other foreigner was a Swede named Ovi Kindvall.
The Swedes always kind of were around.
They're around. Swedes are around.
I mean,
that's the boys. Yeah.
We speak the truth here on the Schnitzel Boys. The Swedes are always around.
Thank you, Keir, for bringing that up because the spirit of 1970 is alive and well because Feyenoord and Celtic both played really well this round. Feyenoord knocking off Milan. And then Celtic giving Bayern a run for their money.
A black eye.
A goal scored by former Bayern Munich player, former reservist, Nicholas Kuhn. Okay, last but not least, Bjorn, do Americans eat too much Chipotle? That's my question for you.
My daughter definitely does.
Well, that's the thing. Weston McKennie is a sponsor. He's always there talking Chipotle. I'm like, Americans, stop breaking. Okay, we've had two. The most exciting thing at the Schnitzel Boys over the last few weeks is following our MLS Americans going to Germany. John Tolkien at Kiel, Jimmy Sands at Zampaoli.
Yes.
Midweek, John Tolkien had a muscle injury, and he's out for an undisclosed amount of time. How he's going to be out for a while. Yeah. And then you informed me that at the very last moment of the game, Jimmy Sands got himself a terrible ligament tear.
Horrible ankle, broke his ankle and tore a ligament. Already had surgery, out for months.
Terrible. And I don't know how long Tolkien's out for, but also out for a little bit. In fact, actually, I want to Google that real quick. Vam, for me, talk to me about Jimmy Sands.
Yeah, It's just terrible. It was at the last second of the game. He sort of fell weird, and just an awful injury. And just devastating, for somebody who really wanted to go. I was at an event tonight with sporting director David Lee. He talked about it. How devastating it is. How he when his Rangers loan didn't really quite go the way he wanted, they convinced him to come back to New York and said, you're going to give it a year or two, and you're going to have a good chance to go back to Europe. And it worked out. He got a loan. He got a coach that believes in him, and he started 4 or 5 games in a row. The team was doing well, and then this is just terrible. And it's hard to say what that even means because he's on loan. If they're just going to send him back, and just very, very, very sad for him.
Yeah, I think John Tolkien, I haven't found an update, just as undisclosed. So he was out for the week. His probably is not as serious. Hopefully he'll be back soon.
Knock on wood. Muscle injury.
But again,
a couple weeks.
Is it just me, or just do Americans get injured all the time? It's like they're always injured. I don't think, when I follow Germans, that like Malik Chet, they're not injured all the time. They're playing week in and week out.
Not as injured.
Is it my? I need to do a real analysis of this. I could just be me, maybe with my body. I look at Americans, they seem to be injured all the time. Even Pulley's been having soft injuries as of late. Thankfully, he's been healthier than usual this season. Knock on wood. Gio Reyna was out with his injuries, and I don't know. It's just sad when they're trying, especially with Tolkien and Jimmy Sands, they're just getting this new lead, they're just getting going, and all of a sudden, boom.
But there may be. The Chipotle thing could be real because Daniel Young is saying your daughter plays in the women's Bundesliga. She does not. She does not play. She does not play soccer, but she does currently have a knee injury. So there might be something. There's something to this Chipotle business.
This next fact,
still in America. You heard it here first. Chipotle is killing Americans.
I know. Your sponsor should be broccoli, huh? How about that? Let's get broccoli to sponsor U.S. soccer.
Kale.
Wasn't Chipotle or kale or something?
Kale chips.
kale growers of America. Now, this fact is one of those weird pseudo facts that someone told me is true, which could be true, that the American takes 8 years longer to decompose than a European does. Because
What?
the American
Hold on.
diet,
Sorry.
maybe not 8 years,
What?
but Americans take longer to decompose because there's way more preservatives in what we eat. And therefore our body makeup, I guess, is full of all this preservative
This is a
nonsense.
fact, or this is
This was told to me by someone.
this is
It's
an urban
probably
an urban
saying it out
legend.
loud. It's got to be an urban version.
10
Fact.
what did you say? 10 years longer?
Something like 8 years or something. Hold on. Americans take. I'm gonna Google this real quick.
So,
Under to
and it's the
decompose.
Chipotle.
Here we go. Snopes. The Snopes is one of my favorite websites to fact checker.
Okay.
People have wondered whether modern day human corpses take longer to decompose due to the addition of preservatives in the food chain. Claim. Let's see if it's debunked or not. No evidence to support the notion. Let's go back down 5 stages of human bottom line. In some, while preservatives added to food may negatively impact people's health, there's no evidence that preservatives delay the
Okay.
decomposition of a
All
body
right.
over time.
So
Well, there you
it's
go.
not
So I guess it's
true.
been debunked. This was told to me by a physician's aide, by the way.
That's
Would
amazing.
that be someone who knows?
I mean,
Okay, so I'm
this
wrong.
is
I'm
like
wrong.
the
But
thing, is this like the thing that the nickel dissolves in Coca-Cola overnight or whatever? I think these are just tales to these are tales to scare you straight, right? You gotta.
I guess.
I mean,
Scared me crooked.
is it scary? Do you care if your body is decomposing?
No, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm gonna be in space. My death wish is I get launched into space and just float off into space for the rest of my days.
Oh, all right.
Forever. That'd be my
So
wish. I don't know how I'm
you
gonna
would
pull that
prefer-
off.
You would prefer to last a little longer than if you're
Yeah.
out there.
I would need to be or I'd be burned, like I'd be cremated, then my ashes would be just blast off into space. Because part of me just floats forever. Who knows? Anyway,
Mhm.
we're getting way off topic.
Ground
This is
control.
my fault, of course.
Ground control to Stefan Schnitzel. All right.
Yeah, my dust just gets in an alien's eyes. Like, who is this? But I would be curious if the average American just has, I don't know, softer bones or creakier joints or something. Like, am I nuts? Is there something to this Americans being injured all the time?
I mean,
Or is it
certainly
thing with a more
I don't know, I mean, obviously the with the generalizations by nationality, one can get into tricky territory very quickly. So but I mean,
true?
it's definitely I think it's a fact that the high level American prospects have lost a lot of time to injury. That's definitely a thing.
We have big games coming up for our national team at Nations League, and a lot of players are out. Malik Tillman's out.
Yeah.
Curto Pepe's out.
Mhm.
Dest is out. John Tolkien is unknown. It's like a lot of players. Right now, we don't really have much of a number 9. That's why we're maybe going to look into Damian Downs from Cone, second division.
Oh, interesting.
To see, we're missing some people.
We'll see. We'll see about that. We're promoting that. The Schnitzel Boys are promoting Downs for USA.
Get with the Downs.
Get with the Downs. Now, I would say about the injury thing, like again, sort of a counter to your theory. There's a crazy amount of injuries in the Premier League right now. All the top teams are missing enormous amounts and there's some speculation there. I mean, it's always, the easy answer is always, the fixture can just too many games and people are breaking down. But yeah, it's hard to say. But
are you telling me Dean Henderson's about to get injured? Matt Turner's going to finally start playing again?
I don't know. I think he's still standing. But a lot of people are down. And in the top teams, whether it's City, Arsenal, really are missing a lot of people. So it's not just the Americans, but maybe that's just because Chipotle is everywhere now.
Although the other counter to my argument is Malik Tillman and Serginho Dest are injured, and they grew up in Germany and Holland, so it's not like they grew up. I don't know. So
once you get the passport, man, they hand you when they hand you the passport, they also hand you a big giant burrito bowl Here,
They
eat this.
better. Yeah. Barbacoa rice. Barbacoa over rice. There you go.
Barbacoa, the most American of foods. Yeah,
Yeah.
the as American as barbacoa. So yeah, hopefully all these people will recover. And I think this is, have we done it?
It's time. Do you know why, Bjorn? Because 2 minutes ago,
Yeah.
the very first North American
Cool.
competitive game kicked off. So it is time for us to move.
And so
the
we're back.
USA
We're
Hour.
back to the double headers. Join us for our MLS preview. I have so much NYCFC news. You're not gonna be able to handle it, Stefan.
Probably not. It's going to be heavy on the NYCFC stuff, I guess. There's a couple other MLS things we'll try to talk about.
I'll be briefish.
No, it's like there's a game postponement.
Oh,
Pretty much I just want to talk about the big Evander transfer.
This is yeah. Well, anyway, I had a good quote. We had a good quote. Sport director David Lee had a good quote about that whole situation. We'll tell you
Excellent.
on the other side.
See you on the other side. If you really don't care, you want to just talk German stuff, we'll be here next Monday night. Nächste Woche. We'll see what's up with the German soccer sphere.
What's up?
But if you want to talk MLS, American soccer, we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Yeah.